You're welcome back to Business Morning. Tilewa Adebajo, the CEO of the CFG Advisory, is here with me in the studio. He is also an economist and an investment banker. Good morning, Tilewa, for coming on the program.
Good morning.
It's good to have you again.
Thank you for having me.
The announcement, did it come to you as a surprise yesterday? The hike in the interest rate from 12 to 14%.
Well, I would say yes. I think maybe I was surprised because I felt that they should have held. But having read the positions of the members of the Monetary Policy Committee from last time, you could see that they're very, once they hear inflation, they're looking to like push rates. And I think that they had pressed the panic button the previous meeting. And I thought maybe they'll slow down because the situation we find ourselves in this economy is quite grave. We're in a deep recession. 2 years ago, this economy was going about 6.5 to 7%. And right now, half year, we're probably looking at a prediction of about negative 2.5% growth. Unemployment is at 35%. Banks are suffering majorly with non-performing loans. There's major contraction. Corporate earnings are down. And unfortunately, the stimulus that was supposed to come in from the fiscal side has not been forthcoming. And it seems to me that from this pronouncement, the monetary policy and the fiscal policy are clearly out of sync.
That's a very, very not too impressive statement there. They're not in sync. But that is one of the calls made by the central bank governor yesterday that it's not just about the monetary policy now, but the fiscal policy should also work in line with what it is doing. But how do you think they can be coordinated to achieve the desired results?
Well, what is the desired results? Are you looking at reducing inflation, or do you want to grow the economy to be able to create unemployment? And I think it's important to take a look at the reasons they have given in terms of why they had increased the rates and what guided them. And I think that the key thing they talked about, to be able to quote, because I don't want to be misquoted here, is that the fact that that the MPC, recognizing the bank lacks the required instrument to directly jumpstart growth, which is what they're saying. And basically, they're saying that their primary mandate is financial system stability. And that was why they increased rates, because it was looking at that. But then there's the other side, which is the fiscal side. And you know that we're struggling on the fiscal side. And I think that in also this document, they also recognize that there's a problem on the fiscal side, because the last meeting, basically, they said in the May MPC meeting, members weighed the risk and the balance of probabilities against growth and voted to hold, allowing the fiscal policy some space to stimulate output with injections. But this has been long in coming.
So because the fiscal side is not taking any major action, according to that communique, it's said to raise the rate.
Yes, but you should wait. You must, because...
But for how long can it wait? Because Nigerians are very impatient at this time because of the difficult situation in the country.
Yes, that is why we need to coordinate this economy. An economy does not work in isolation. You have to jointly send the right signals. It's the same government. There's a central bank governor, there's a finance minister, there's a minister for budget, there's a minister for industry, trade and investment. There has to be coordination between these ministers. If there's no coordination within these ministers, then you find a situation whereby you hike up rates. I mean, we have gone, this is the worst recession in this country in 15 years. And right after a major recession we've entered into a major recession, the next monetary policy, the Federal Reserve Bank or the central bank hikes rates. You know, the signal is not very positive. You are looking at a situation whereby manufacturers are suffering. If you take a look at earnings, the corporate earnings, they're all flat or negative. And what are you doing? You're increasing the rates at which they're borrowing. There are a lot of non-performing loans. So even if I restructure my loan facility, I'm going to be paying more. So we have to take a look at the consequences of these actions. And if we say we are waiting on this or the stimulus is not supposed to be there, then we need to coordinate this economy. There needs to be sync. So, and if you take a look at another reason, why they're talking about it, they said the members and also noted that the negative real rates did not support the recent flexible exchange market, as foreign investors' attitude remained lukewarm, showing unwillingness in bringing in new capital under the circumstances.
So are we saying that this decision would more likely favor foreign investment?
No, you can't.
Because one of the things that the central bank mentioned was to ensure that it increases capital inflow into the economy. And so when you increase rates, to what extent can that impact foreign inflow? And to what advantage would that be for our economy?
That is what you're asking. Are you are you doing this because of foreign investors, or are you doing this to grow your economy? So those are some of the contradictions that I see within this whole area. Is this for foreign investors or the growth? Because, let us take a look at the winners and losers in this whole, with this whole action. I think the price stability you're talking about, and even if you take a look at the inflation, which was an issue, I think that they recognize this. And I think that, basically they said that there were arguments in favor of growth. And those arguments were anchored on the premise that the current inflationary episode was largely structural.
And that is one area that seems to point an accusing finger on the government, because it's saying that the structural deficiencies in the economy is not as a result of its monetary policy decisions, but the fact that we're not seeing improvement in the power sector, for instance. We're not seeing good roads be constructed to aid transportation of food items, which has led to inflationary pressures on the economy.
Well, let us even take a look at that inflation they were talking about. Inflation has gone up by 55% in 1 year. Last year, we're talking about inflation at 9%. Now we're talking about 16.5%. That is significant. So we're talking about how the growth of the economy has also slowed under the watch of this same central bank governor. The question